I'm just a fancy mouthpiece. I'm just like a flesh. That's all I do. I don't know dick. Today's video is brought to you by Surfshark. More on them in just a bit. Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of Brain Blaze. I, as ever, am your host, Simon. Welcome. Who's in this show? Well, one of my writers, often Danny. In this case, Kevin. Welcome, Kevin. Round of applause. Thank you very much. Kevin, he writes me an episode. I'm going to read it. You're going to watch it. That's what we do. Sam, the video editor, he's going to edit it. That's what's going to happen. If you like this show, are you subscribed? You should be. Have you liked this video yet? Don't do that. Wait until you see if you actually like it or not. Use the dislike button. It doesn't do anything. What is today's episode about? 5 of the craziest moments in professional wrestling. Why did I approve this? I know nothing about wrestling. I don't have any interest in wrestling. Kevin! I almost certainly said yes to this for some reason in a fever dream 6 months ago. A lot of you are watching this and you're already saying to yourself, but Kevin, wrestling is all fake. And to that, I'll just say, shut the hell up. Yes, the winners are predetermined and the matches are choreographed to differing degrees, but who cares? I don't know. I care because I like to have unpredictability in my sport. I like it to be an actual competition. I wouldn't have any interest in tennis. If you'd be watching it, it'd be like, oh yeah, well, this game's it's like, okay. Yeah, Nadal's going to get 4 aces in a row in the third set, second game, and you're like, because it makes it more entertaining. It's already entertaining enough. There are like boxing and what's that one in the is it an octagon, like the 8-sided thing? MMA? Is that MMA? Where they just beat the living out of each other. That exists. Why do we need to watch fake wrestling when there's people beating the out of each other in a cage? I don't like any of this. I don't even like boxing. When you walk into a room and you find your friend watching CSI, do you just laugh at them and say, that's not even a real dead body, stupid. It's all make-believe. No, but also CSI has no pretense of it being real, whereas wrestling's occupying some confusing half real area, sort of.
Are you challenging me?
Of course not, because that's what you expect from scripted television, and professional wrestling is no different. It's just a soap opera with less clothing and more people being hit in the back of the head with steel folding chairs. Yeah, I guess also I don't like soap operas. It's boring. It's like, why would I want to watch people going about their slightly interesting but not that interesting lives? No reason, really. No reason at all. What's that? There's the famous British ones like EastEnders, Coronation Street. Then there's the Australian one, Neighbours. All very boring. All not worth what? Home and Away. Why do we watch so many Australian shows in the UK? Probably because we're like, oh my god, it's so sunny in Australia. Why do I have to live here? Like soap opera, wrestling is full of love triangles, betrayal, and secret long-lost siblings. It's even been home to magic, necromancy, and all sorts of nonsense that, of course, nobody actually thought was real.
He's using hypnosis!
The main difference between wrestling and other scripted TV is the amount of writing involved. Wrestlers tend to either improvise on camera or write their monologues themselves, which means the actual job of the writers is pretty limited. Since there's barely any writing to be done, it doesn't make sense to pay top dollar for good writers. Unfortunately, you get what you pay for. Whether this is your first exposure to wrestling storylines or as a walk down a repressed memory lane, here are some of the craziest moments to ever air in professional wrestling. Okay, never mind. I think I'm going to like this. I was like, wrestling, no interest. But then when I just love absurd. So let's go. I remember when I was a kid, a friend of mine was super into wrestling. And he was like, yeah, there was something. It's like this pregnant 80-year-old woman. And she's like body slammed through a table or some crazy I'm like, what is going on? And that was when I realized that wrestling wasn't real. Mae Young and sexual chocolate. Okay. When Mark Henry joined the WWE, he was billed as the world's strongest man, a title he had won in those competitions where massive dudes throw beer kegs full of cement over walls and pull convoys of school buses by a rope. He had a near supernatural level of strength, but that wasn't enough to win him over with the crowd. The entire organization was full of the strongest men and women in the world, so Henry was going to need a more unique gimmick to win the support of fans. About 2 years into his wrestling career, he took on the persona of a ladies' man by going by the name Sexual Chocolate. What the what's your name? Sexual Chocolate. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Sexual chocolate!
This helped him gain audience support. It's like, oh wait, the guy's renamed himself Sexual Chocolate. I love him now. What the man? What is wrestling? What are you talking about? This is what happens, like Kevin said, when you don't pay your writers enough. How are we going to win him over with the audience? Call him Sexual Chocolate. Sexual Chocolate.
Sexual chocolate.
This helped him gain audience support, but he still needed that extra push to get over the edge. To accomplish this, Henry came out as a sex addict and had a televised therapy session. In this session, he revealed to his therapist that he lost his virginity at the age of 8 to his sister. Fuck hell. And then the two had sex again just 2 days prior to that session. This is going to be a great way to win yourself over with the fans, mate. Sexual chocolate. Incest. Yeah, that's it. That's going to crack that nut. He was able to overcome his sexual addiction thanks to The Godfather, the WWE's literal resident pimp. Fans ate this up. But with Sexual Chocolate having been cured of his sex addiction, it was time to write in some more character developments. He needed to have a loving, monogamous relationship, and according to some writer who probably has just finished huffing glue, there was no more logical choice than Mae Young. Who the Mae Young? I have no idea. It's like, I could be like, yeah, okay, seems reasonable. Who is this woman? The year was 1999 and Mae Young had begun a professional wrestling career before the United States had entered World War II. Oh my. Oh my, is she the one who gets... Is this first story the only thing I know about wrestling? Oh shit. She was 77 years young when she began her on-camera romance with Henry, a romance that would end with a biologically impossible pregnancy. It is. I haven't thought of this story in 20 years. Young continued wrestling while pregnant, and in the year 2000, her career now spanning 8 decades, but she couldn't stay pregnant forever. She couldn't get pregnant in the first place, but that's not important. The storyline needed a conclusion, and Vince McMahon wanted it to end post-haste because he hated the gimmick. Thus, the writers, possibly still high on glue, came up with a solution that McMahon found suitably hilarious. Live on camera, Mae Young went into labor backstage during Monday Night Raw. After seconds of painstaking labor and finally giving birth to a human hand covered in pink goo, it was never spoken of again or resolved in any way. What? That's it. She just gave birth to a human hand that was pink. And that's where you leave it. This is the sloppiest writing that I've ever seen. So let me interrupt today's video to tell you about today's fantastic, long-time, loyal supporter of The Blaze. And guys, I love it when you support the loyal supporters of The Blaze because, well, they just let me keep on blazing and bringing you this fantastic, some might say, godly content every single week, 3 times a week, no less. Look, what is Surfshark? Well, they're a VPN. And what does that do? Well, it does a bunch of stuff. There's 2 important things it really does, though. One is it keeps you safe online. So if you're like, I don't know, like for some reason, does anyone else have this? They've got like a mobile phone contract and it's 2022 and still somehow we don't have unlimited data. So you'll be going somewhere and it's like, I would always use my phone's hotspot. I always would if it was possible. Like, that's just safer, it's better. Why even bother with Wi-Fi? But it seems like, no. You can have 10 gigabytes a month and we'll charge you a lot for it and you'll be happy because that's the only option there is. And it's like, what is going on? It's 2022, so I'll always use that Wi-Fi, right? I'll go in there, I'll log on, and then I'll be like, oh God. Please don't steal my information, but I know I'm safe because I've got Surfshark VPN. What you do, you fire up Surfshark VPN, you go in, you choose which country you want to be connected through. It doesn't really matter if you're just looking for security, and boom, there you go. Easy does it. Use your internet banking, browse online. No one is going to be spying on you because they use super unbreakable encryption. They call it like, what was it? Something bit encryption. Look, no one's cracking that. No one's cracking that. Also, what they do is they give you more streaming options. So, like, what you do is you've got Netflix open, right? No for Surfshark VPN running. Swipe that way, close it, fire up Surfshark VPN. Choose a country that you want to go to. Like, I don't know whether you want to check out Netflix Japan, Canada, US, or if you're in the US, the UK, Europe, wherever, you'll find you get a whole lot of different streaming options, which is amazing. It basically pays for itself because you could like sign up to the other streaming service to get the thing that you want to watch, or you'll just find that it's actually available on Netflix UK, and then boom. Surfshark save you some money. And why is it so easy to save money? That's because it's so affordable. Get Surfshark VPN at surfshark.deals/blaze and enter the code blaze and you'll get 85% off and 3 extra months for free, which is just 15% on, which is frankly a ridiculously good deal. Again, surfshark.deals/blaze. And now back to today's video. Financial analyst fired from CNBC. Wait, what's this got to do with wrestling? This wasn't actually a gimmick so much as it was actions in the ring having real-world consequences. John Layfield, better known at the time as John Bradshaw Layfiend, or JBL, was a college football player turned professional wrestler. He was also, at least in theory, something of a business genius. Ah, yes. Professional wrestling and business genius, the two things that always go hand in hand. After spending years, look at Hulk Hogan and his genius range of products. After spending years in the tag team division with his partner Farouk, JBL was ready to go solo and pushed for main event status. This was made possible thanks to the better and more popular wrestlers either being out on injury or having left the company. But this was all written. This is all written. They were written out. Their injuries were fake. It's like, so they chose it, no? The year before his rebranding as savvy businessman JBL, Layfield had published a financial planning book called Have More Money Now. Oh my God. Have more money now. How to do it. First, purchase a gun. Yes, you're out $200, but we're going to utilize that gun for crimes.
It's my money and I need it now!
You know, just because it's that easy, if you're struggling with financial problems, just have more money. How do you get more money if you're poor? Go to the ATM. Boom! With his new gimmick, JBL was being billed by the WWE as a self-made millionaire. Professional wrestlers are paid so if he was a millionaire, he certainly didn't accomplish it with the help of the WWE. However, his key to being a self-made millionaire and having more money was to marry the financial analyst from a multinational independent investment bank and financial services company. Wait, have more money now is literally just marry someone rich? Okay. He must have been more than just a trophy husband to a rich and powerful woman, however, because in 2004, shortly after this gimmick began, he landed a job on CNBC as a financial analyst and business commentator. Wait, like outside of the WWE storyline? This is why WWE is confusing, Kevin, and different from your CSI example, because it's like, suddenly this dude is like a commentator on CNBC, but it would be like someone from CSI becoming like, I don't know, like a blood splatter analyst in real life, but not in CSI. But he became it in real life because people are confused. No one's confused about the people on CSI unless they're four. Like, that's why it's different, Kevin. Am I insane? Do I have an insane brain? It seems that nobody at CNBC bothered to watch any wrestling, otherwise they might have been able to foresee that Layfield was a PR ticking time bomb. The thing with JBL was that he was a heel, a wrestling speak for a villain. It was his job to make the audience hate him, and he was good at it. But he was also a bit lazy and would often go for the lowest hanging fruit, like declaring on the mic, New York sucks, while performing in New York. While performing in Germany at a house show, an untelevised event, the goings-on of which were not usually considered canon, JBL decided to draw as much cheap heat from the audience as possible in the laziest possible way. After knocking down his opponent, he began goose-stepping around the ring and doing the Nazi salute. Mate, in Germany, that's going to get you arrested. That is not allowed. Like, America, you can get up to all that free all that crazy because you got like, is it the First Amendment? It's the First Amendment. You can like mostly do whatever the you want. In Europe, we're like, how about we don't do Nazi salutes? How about that we make that a bit of a hate crime? And I don't know, I'm like totally for that. People shouldn't be allowed to do hate speech. I mean, there's obviously a line between what's hate speech and what isn't. But like when it's clearly hate speech or, you know, something like this, it's, yeah, I'm totally cool with that being illegal. Can with that First Amendment. But this guy's like, First Amendment, bitch! Is like, you're in Germany!
This is outrageous. Believe it or not, jail right away.
Not only is this incredibly poor taste, but it's also illegal in Germany. A reporter quickly informed CNBC of the ill-conceived stunt, and JBL was immediately fired from his position as a financial analyst. Honestly, that's for the better. He shouldn't have been a financial analyst in the first place because he knows nothing about finance. It was like the people in CSI. Gil Grissom doesn't know anything about bodies. He's an actor. I think his name is Peterson. Something like that. As crazy as it is that someone thought the Nazi salute in front of a crowd in Germany was a good idea, even crazier is the fact that he had described it as the best thing to ever happen to his career. I guess there really is no such thing as bad publicity. The media attention resulted in JBL's wrestling career getting a huge push, and of course he was more than welcome as a financial analyst over on Fox News. No! Someone knows it's not real! Someone must know! F*** me, is this for real?
Wrestling's not fake!
It's like sometimes people will be like, oh, hi Simon, can you come give a talk at my university about this thing that you made a video about? It's like, bro, at the end it says who wrote it. I'm just a fancy mouthpiece. I'm just like a flesh. That's all I do. I don't know dick. Stop inviting me to speak at universities. It would just be embarrassing. It'd be fine. I'd deliver an amazing talk that someone else had written, and then they'd be like, and now we jump to Q&A, and someone would ask me a question, and I'd be like, what is he? No. Also, I don't like to travel. I don't want to go anywhere for work. He mentioned in interviews that this wrestling moment gets brought up as frequently he mentioned that he has mentioned that in He has mentioned in interviews that this wrestling moment gets brought up frequently, and his reaction is just, thanks for remembering me. Viagra on a pole match. Okay. Vince Russo has been a writer and booker for several professional wrestling companies. He began his career with the WWE before jumping ship to WCW, where he helped to absolutely bury the company. Oh, good. Helped. If there's one thing we know about Vince Russo, it's that nothing excites him like watching two men compete over a big, stiff pole. Okay. That's fine. You do you. There are various types of gimmick matches, and pole matches are the strangest type. In a ladder match, the championship belt will be hung high above the ring, and whoever can climb to the top of the ladder and retrieve the belt is the winner. These matches tend to be pretty cool, especially because the ladders make for great weapons. Oh my. A pole match is the ladder match's stupid little brother that everyone wishes would stop tagging along. In a pole match, an object is hung from a pole in one of the corners of the ring, but it's not so high that you need a ladder or even a step stool to reach it. Grabbing the item on the pole doesn't mean that the person wins the match either. It just means that they can use it as a weapon. Vince Russo had put more things on a pole than I can count. Objects range from fairly reasonable steel chair on a pole, brass knuckles on a pole, or Singapore cane on a pole. What the fuck is a Singapore cane? That sounds kind of cool. Is that a cane with a sword inside it? My granddad had one of those. To the absolutely ludicrous mistletoe on a pole and Judy Bagwell on a pole. Judy Bagwell was the mother of wrestler Buff Bagwell. What, you going to use her as a weapon? And she was actually elevated on a forklift, not a pole. She was also not terribly useful as a weapon. Yeah, no surprise. What are you going to... You've just got an extra person to deal with. It was the year 2000, and Billy Kidman's manager and on-screen girlfriend, Tori Wilson, had left him for rival Shane Douglas. In a classy move, Kidman came out to the announcer's table the next week with a sex tape made by himself and Wilson. He had made copies for all the wrestlers and asked the production team to put the video on the big screen for the audience. Shockingly, there are still 8 states that don't have lawsuits against revenge porn where someone could actually do this. No. Wait. Surely that's illegal, through some other means. That's actually mad. 2 days later, Douglas and Wilson's sex tape was played on air, except Douglas was having performance issues. It doesn't make any sense that someone who suffered from performance issues would make a sex tape in the first place, but this story beat needed to happen so Vince Russo could give us the Viagra on a pole match. It was an insane and stupid idea, and they couldn't even do it right. The match was supposed to have a comedic ending in which Douglas would hit Kidman in the face with the bottle, causing him to swallow a handful of Viagra pills, but this was not to be. The bottle was... What are you doing? How did they all get in your mouth? The bottle was accidentally shattered almost immediately after it was retrieved from the pole. Also, who has pills in glass bottles? When was the last time you got a pill in a bottle? They're all in blister packs. Everything. Vitamins are in bottles. The bottle was accidentally shattered almost immediately after it was retrieved from the pole, meaning that the gimmick of the match was even more pointless than it already would have been. It was a completely bizarre storyline and match idea, and all we have to show for it is a mediocre at best match and about 20 minutes of dick jokes from the announcers. Katie Vick. Fans of early 2000s wrestling will immediately recognize the name Katie Vick, and the WWE would really, really prefer it if they didn't. It was a story of young, unrequited love, a tragic accident, and some other stuff. The storyline also holds a bit of a personal trauma for me. It all took place in October of 2002. The main event of Monday Night Raw was a tag team title pitching Kane against his partner, the Hurricane. The main event of Monday Night Raw. That's how I imagine they say it. I've never seen wrestling, but they must say it like that. Coming up on Monday Night Raw!
Daddy, chill.
Was a tag team title match pitching Kane and his partner, the Hurricane, against a couple of jabronis. It doesn't matter who. Oh no, jabroni came up in a Kevin script the other day on a different channel. I looked up what it meant and I've already forgotten.
You're just ruining it. Look at my lips. You're ruining it. Ruining.
Before the match, Triple H capacitated the Hurricane backstage, forcing Kane to defend the titles himself in a handicap match. Kane weighed in at 7 feet tall and 350 pounds. Like, I don't speak old units, but that is a big boy. So he easily defended the tag titles himself. Honestly, the Hurricane was only there for comic relief anyway. After the match, Triple H came out to the ring and asked Kane if he remembered the name Katie Vick before calling him a murderer. Then the show faded to black, so presumably the two didn't talk about it for the entire week until the next episode. The next week, Kane explained his side of the story to an audience that really didn't give a shit. Kane and Katie had been at a party 10 years prior, and Katie had had too much to drink, so Kane drove them home. An animal jumped out in front of the car and he swerved to avoid it, crashing the car. He broke his arm while Katie lost her life. He insisted it was an accident, but Triple H came out to goad Kane, saying that he had been drinking that night as well, and he was a murderer. You don't understand what murderer is. Also, what is this? This is just super tragic. As far as tragic backstories go, it's pretty generic. There wasn't any real reason for it either, as Kane already was supposed to have a tragic backstory of having been brutally burned in a fire as a child, forcing him to wear a mask and leaving him incapable of speech. Dude, you just wanted to make life just even worse for him? They had since abandoned most of that, but added a new sad backstory that seemed kind of pointless. They abandoned it. It's like, he takes his mask off and he's completely fine. It's like, I've magically healed myself. That wouldn't happen on CSI, Kevin. The next week is when things went completely off the rails. I was going to school in Miami at the time, and a girl from one of my engineering classes was a huge wrestling fan as well. The dorms only got about 5 TV channels, but the bar on campus had satellite and showed all the wrestling events. We decided to watch Go Raw together that Monday night, a decision I would quickly regret. That night, Triple H showed footage that he claimed to be from Katie's funeral. As he rolled the tape, it showed what was clearly just Triple H in a very bad Kane disguise. He approached the open casket at the funeral and began groping the body before getting inside the casket with her. What the f*** are you up to? When he finished, he said, I did it. I screwed your brains out. I did not get a second date. I mean, the quote ends, I screwed your brains out, and Kevin didn't get a second date because holy sh**. Why is the necrophilia in wrestling this f*** up? As insane as that may have been, and it is insane, even crazier is that the WWE decided to double down on this angle. They received a veritable flood of angry letters, and the next week, Triple H came out to the ring to insult all the squeamish fans that were offended by the necrophilia storyline. The story was quickly dropped after that night, and the WWE would mention it again for 13 years. Why would you ever mention this again? Do not mention this again. Just be done with it and try and forget that it ever happened. Leave it in the box. Do not open the box, WWE, but oh no, you had to. In 2015, Triple H was seen checking his daughter's Google search history. He hung his head in shame with tears in his eyes upon seeing the name Katie Vick in his daughter's search history. The story has rightfully never been brought up again since then. Why did you bring this up? The writing on this is so It's actually unbelievable. That's going to put some butts in some seats. Finally, one quick one about how a brilliant idea can have disastrous consequences. During the Monday Night Wars of the 1990s between WWE and WCW, what the f*** is WCW? WCW had a clear advantage. WCW aired while WWE was recorded the night before. Thanks to the power of the internet and the big mouths of superfans who would attend the recordings and then immediately talk about it online, WCW ring announcer and senior vice president Eric Bischoff was able to have the script of the WWE's entire show before it aired. During WCW's live broadcasts, Bischoff would read off the competition's script to dissuade people from switching between the channels. It was pure genius, and it gave WCW a huge lead in viewership. Why bother watching WWE when you can watch WCW and find out what happened on both shows at the same time? That sounds like copyright infringement. They're just reading that script. Then one night, Bischoff gave the results of WWE's main event to broadcaster Tony Schiavone to read off. On January the 4th, 1999, Tony said live on air, "If you're even thinking about changing the channel to our competition fans, do not, because we understand that Mick Foley, who wrestled here one time as Cactus Jack, is going to win their world title." That's going to put some butts in seats. It turns out that, yes, it was. WCW's tried and true plan instantly backfired as ratings showed that their audience all immediately switched channels to watch Mick Foley win his first ever World Championship belt. That's going to put some butts in seats. Has gone down as one of the most famous lines in all of wrestling, and it is regarded as both one of the top 10 moments in WWE history and the single worst in WCW history. I feel like this is why I've never heard of WCW, because they kind of themselves. And also, that's like, I don't know, it's not really cool what they were doing. So, yeah, in my opinion. This has been an episode of Brain Blaze. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Sexual chocolate.
Sexual chocolate.